Your beloved country is free forever.
Welcome to Lyrics Entertainment. And today, it's not going to be an entertainment, it's going to be education. Whereby I'm here today with my historians. Whereby we are going to talk about the name Ghana. We will talk about how the name Ghana came. So I'm in the studio with my colleagues. I'm here with
and then we have Asar Prince Daniel.
Okay. Before the arrival of the Europeans, Ghana as a name did not exist. It means we didn't have any name. But when the Europeans came, they gave us name. And the name was Gold Coast, as we say. Yeah. So why the name Gold Coast? What was the motive behind the name Gold Coast? Because if we don't have name, how can they just give us name just like that?
Okay, so yeah, I would like to say that Gold Coast in itself was not like a name. Okay, it was a description. That is why on 12 November 1956, Nkrumah argued in the UN General Assembly that the name, it had what, a translatable meaning. And then because it was a description and not a name, now every European country could call it in their own language. So the French would have, in their language, how they would call Gold Coast. The Portuguese will also have how they will call Gold Coast in their own language. But assuming it is like a name, Ghana, if you're French, you cannot call Ghana in your language and then it will mean something else, or it will sound different from Ghana. Yeah. So Gold Coast was not like more, it was more of a description. And then what the Europeans were doing at that time was that now when they come to the colonies, especially the coast, what they find most in abundance is what they will use to name after the territory where they find themselves. Okay. So you see, we have names like the Pepper Coast, the Guinea Coast, the Ivory Coast, and then Gold Coast. Okay. So that should tell you that in the context of Gold Coast, which later became Ghana, they found in abundance gold. Okay. Do you get it? Like in the areas where from the Cape Apollonia to the east of Ulivota, do you get it? So what they found in abundance will inform them the kind of name, okay, that we see as a description that they will give to the territory. So I think that was something like
to add up to what is just said, even though there were an abundance of gold in the area, the people themselves were willing to exchange their gold products for European goods, like broken bottles, mirror and hot like wine and other stuff. Okay. So these are the factors that the Europeans used to classify the area as Gold Coast.
Okay, that's nice. So we have realized how the name Gold Coast came and everything. Okay, so what I also want to ask is, so the name Gold Coast came, and it means when they came because of trade, because as we are saying that we exchange our goods with them. So can we also know some of the things that they really did or contributed to help the Africans, or we the Ghanaians as particular?
Oh, okay. So the coming in of the Europeans had so many positive and negative effects on we the Ghanaians. So let me tackle on the positive aspect. So the coming in of the European brought so many benefits to us. First, on the field of education, we became literate, and we were able to read and write and communicate with the outside world. And they also established so many schools, started from the elementary to the university level. So with the elementary, the colonial governance built less than 10 schools, and the Christian missionaries also built 14 elementary schools. And with respect to the universities, they started building the University College of Ghana, which is now known as the University of Ghana, and they also built the college, the Kumasi College of University, which is also known as the Kwame Nkrumah Science and Technology. And later on, they also built so many trade schools, which will be able to help the citizens to become craftsmen and also useful citizens in the society. So some of the trade schools were built at Yendi, Aswanse, and other places here.
Okay.
And in the field of health to Western way of treating diseases and preventing diseases were introduced.
The thing is, so right now, it means they really helped us.
Yeah.
Yes,
In a way.
these Europeans really came to help us.
Yeah,
So if they have really helped me, because before education, like we didn't have any idea of education, so it means they came to help us. So why will we sit and plan of gaining independence, or like we disliking them?
Lyrics, before you go to that aspect, I want to add to what she said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it's regards to the socially, our social setup. These Europeans were able to put down or ban certain dehumanizing practices, like the female mutilation, the human sacrifice,
Killing of twins.
killing of twins, for example, as in your
tribal marks
state,
and
and
stuff,
other things. So you could see that these people do not only touch our education aspect, even they have influence on our political aspect too, regulating how the system, the channel of communication should be done, and mastering our centralized system of government, even though some of the states were practicing that. So I think they did well.
Like my brother rightfully said, you know, they did not only touch the educational system in Ghana or in Gold Coast then, but you see, when we talk about the construction of roads and then also the building of some railway lines, they also did a lot, especially under the governorship of Gordon Gagisbeck. You see, so many contributions were done. But then coming to your question of if we were benefiting from the Europeans, why would we want to be independent? You see, one thing that we should all born out of mind is the fact that, you know, political independence is very key. Okay. I can be a servant under you. You would give me food and everything, all right. But then again, let's ask ourselves, at one point or at some point in time, I would like to own my own self and then have control over my own affairs. Do you get it? And then it wasn't in the case like the Africans were just in despair, or the Africans were just people who had nothing doing, or they were of no importance. You know, then that is like we bringing in the Hermetic theory, which is so false. You get it? The Africans lived in their own societies. They had their own political, social, and economic rights. They were practicing their indigenous African practices and all of that. But then again, the Europeans came and then they started changing the ways in which the Africans should live. You get it? Assuming an African had the right of moving to every part of the society that the person wanted, and now you come and then you say that no, you can go to this area, but then you cannot extend, or you cannot go beyond this area. Then it's just like you are restricting the person's life. So we owned our own societies, and then now you came to take over, and now we are asking that, Mr. Man, you came to take over our society. We think you've done a lot. You've also caused many harm. So it is time that we gain our own freedom and then take control over our affairs. So it is not, I don't know who would say that we should have remained.
Okay, so what Eben is saying, you can also know that these Europeans, they are strategically, whatever they do, they are strategic about that. All the benefit they were doing or the good measures they put in place during Gold Coast era for their own economic benefits. They just want to exploit the human resources in Gold Coast. For example, the construction of the road was to aid them to transport goods from the hinterland to the coast, to their mother country. So you can see that all these factors, and they dedicated area that arose during the era at the late 19th century, that's 1890 going. They saw that no, these people are over-exploiting us, so we have to hence fight for our political independence.
So I would like to add something little. So if you realize, they deprived Ghanaians, in particular, they deprived the native Ghanaians from, having mass number in the education sector. You know why? Because once you're educated, you'll be exposed to the ills and then the evils of the European policies and all of that. And then we'll rise up forward our independence. So at the initial stage, they had deprived all these people from being educated. But later on, the Nkrumah, the JB Danquist, and then the power grants will come in, and then the whole face of, or the whole sphere of political atmosphere will change, and then now we will gain independence.
I get it. Okay, so that's nice. Okay, so why the name Ghana? If as we're saying, Ghana name came, and we chose the name Ghana because we have gained independence, and since the Good Coast was a name as a descriptive name, like we have to also, since we have gained independence, we have to also change everything that the Europeans gave it to us. So the question is, why the name Ghana?
Okay, so on the eve of independence, our leaders thought it wise to give us a different name to show the actual breakaway of colonialism. Yeah. So they thought it wise to give us a different name. So JB Dankwa suggested Akan land, and it was rejected on the basis that it creates the impression that the land was only inhabited by the people of Akan. So he suggested a different name, that's Akan and Ganland, and it was also rejected on the same basis that it creates the impression that it was owned by the people of Akan and Gan. So later he suggested that then we should choose the name Ghana, and in Mande language it means war chief, and it was taken from one of the ancient empires in the Western Sudanese. And according to al-Bakri,
so it means JB Dankwa was the person who suggested the name Ghana, because he already brought different names which was rejected, and he later brought the name Ghana. Okay, so do we have what's the history behind the name Ghana? Because at least you will sit and think of, okay, me bringing this name, what's the motive behind the name Ghana?
Okay, so I think the history, like my sister was saying, okay, that we were once free or independent, and then now we were taken over by the Europeans. So this time too, we feel we've gained independence, and so there should be a symbol of total breakaway from the Europeans, especially with the descriptive name of Gold Coast. And so, like my sister rightfully said, JB Dankwa suggested Akan land, was rejected. Akan and Ghana land was also rejected. Then now he came in with the name Ghana. And then we should be mindful of the fact that now that was not the first time the name Ghana came into existence. No, Mrs. Lugard and other researchers had worked and then found out about the name Ghana for a very long time. And then we should also remember the fact that somewhere around the 500 AD to 1250 AD, there was a kingdom in Western Sudanese Empire called the Ghana Kingdom, okay, which rose and then fell. Do you get it? So that kingdom, now David Dankwa was supposed to back this name Ghana with many wealth of history, to be able to convince the how do you call it,
leaders.
Yes, the struggle the struggle leaders, or the independence struggle leaders, to be able to accept this name, and then now accept it and then give it to the new country. So one of the reasons which I'll talk about is the political backing or political history that he had given to the name. That was the fact that, like I said earlier on, there was a kingdom, a Western Sudanese kingdom, which had risen and then had also fallen within the 500 to the 1250 AD. And then this kingdom, according to al-Bakri, who was a Muslim scholar, he says that now the name Ghana was a title born of the leaders of the empire. You get it? And then from the 8th centuries, now the Arabs started referring to the territories by the names of their leaders. So you find the territory of Western Sudanese Empire now being called Ghana. Ghana also meant it could also be called Kaya Magan, which meant that the king's king of gold, okay, which easily translated as king of gold, which also meant the king's enormous power over gold in the territory. Now, if we are linking this, then we ask ourselves, then was there any link between the old Ghana and then the new Ghana? And then we say yes, because when we talk about gold, now we come to the issue of Ghana, the new Ghana that had now gained independence. When you go to the interior, we are talking about the forest zones like Ashanti, the Dentra, those areas. Now we could find abundance of gold. Even the reasons why the Portuguese had given the name Gold Coast was because of abundance of gold that they had found in the area. You get it? So in the ancient Ghana Empire, abundance of gold. In modern Ghana, abundance of gold. There was a link. And also that was the first kingdom to rise in the Western Sudanese Empire. Over here to the first black African country, sub-Saharan, to regain independence was Ghana.
Okay.
So there was that political link that JB Dankwa had given. I think my brother would like to talk
I
about
have nothing, but I love the fact that you use regain.
Yes, regain. Oh yes. So
most people like say gain independence, but initially we were independent.
Yes. So we don't say gain, we say regain, because we were independence and then now they had colonized us.
And also there were some connections, historical connections between the old Ghana Empire and the new Ghana. Yeah. Talking of their socio-cultural institutions, the old Ghana Empire was practicing the matrilineal system of government, and in the new Ghana Empire here, it can be found within the Akans and other tribes. Yeah. And also the old Ghana Empire, their vibrant economy in trade items like cola, beasts of burden, slaves, and comparing it to the new Ghana Empire, these commodities can also be found.
Yeah, with the kola nuts, specifically around in the interior Ashanti region, where Kumasi evolved or started to rise.
So right now that's brought about.
And then we should also not forget about the fact that in the old Ghana Empire, I mentioned something that Al-Bakri said, that Ghana was the title born of the chiefs. So that should inform us that they were practicing monarchical system of government. Now when we come to our own kingdom of Ashanti, you have to tune for being the head of the Ashanti Empire. So these were all historical connections that we were finding in relation to the old and then the new Ghana. So this would make sense if JB Dankwa should suggest that. Then we should name the new Ghana or the new country Ghana.
And mind you, this was a year before the independence. That was 12 November 1956.
Yeah, that was when Nkrumah had argued in the National Assembly in UN that the name was translatable, and it was true because everybody else could call it in their own language. Gold Coast. It's just a name. It was even a dilution of identity. It was Gold Coast was not a name. It was a description.
Just pass through it. The JB Dankwa is Joseph Wache Dankwa. Most people don't know the meaning of JB Wache Dankwa.
So he was the person who suggested the name Ghana, and the leaders also accepted it, and they brought like the name Ghana.
So with his contribution, he is regarded as the doyen of Gold Coast politics. That's Joseph Wache Dankwa.
He was very, very powerful. JB
Dankwa
was a very powerful politician. I mean. Because even with this little that we've given, I mean, you could see the man was so, because he was most passionate about, bringing out a new name for the new country. You get it? If I say new country, I mean we've been colonized, so now we are regaining our independence. So yes.
And most importantly, the people of the new Ghana Empire believed to have migrated from the old Ghana Empire, so they trace
Okay, so guys, we just end our discussion here. We've learned a lot. We've come across how the name Gold Coast came, how the history behind the name Ghana, and I hope you guys have learned something also from this. So kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you guys for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. So any day.
All right.